Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Racing Bros NASCAR podcast, number 17, where we're going to go over the Coke 600 and everything that entailed that weekend. But with me today is my co-host Brian. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Not as bad as the ass that got kicked by Kyle Larson in the Coke 600. So.
Got that right.
We're going to go over that, all that, and see how our picks did during the week, and then what the playoffs are looking like, answer some questions, go over the news, and then speculate on some rumors that came out this past weekend, but veteran driver joining a new team possibly, and then we're going to preview Sonoma, pick our drivers, and our dark horses. So we're going to start with the Coke 600. Woo.
Snooze fest.
It's over. All right. So, question one. No, I'm kidding. Brian, you want to start off us with some recap action?
Some recap. All right. Well, first stage, all that you really had going on was, first of all, Larson dominance. Second, Ross Chastain and Kurt Busch with oil pump belt issues and oil pressure issues.
Big rip.
Yeah, the teammates just not getting it good out there. And then Jeff Gordon brought up during the race, he's like, oh, this must mean something for Hendrick. I mean, I guess I can understand why you would think that, but it was just crazy. Suarez had a flat tire. And then Blaney had steering issues, and I mean that was stage one. That was pretty much. There was some racing going on, but I mean it's stage one. They're just going for at least the top 10 points.
Yeah, they're just trying to get them stage points, because we got 4 fucking stages.
Right. And then something that I still don't think is talked about enough. This was stage 2. We had Hendrick, the 48 car of Hendrick, with the risky pit stop for 2 tires, while everybody else, at least in the lead, was going for 4. And I believe the 22 and the 11 were the only other 2 cars that did the 2 tires. Mm-hmm. And as crazy as it sounded, those cars ended up gaining like 5-6 places from where they were. So I think Bowman only gained like 3 or 4, but oh well. Stage 2, there wasn't really much going on. I think the funnest part of stage 2 was probably the end of stage battle between Logano and Austin Dillon for 10th, which, I mean, it was kind of fun to watch. Hendrick ended up 1, 2, 3, and 7, with I believe Bowman being the 7th place, and then Chase Byron Larson backwards. So yeah, stage 2, there really wasn't much that happened. It was kind of the same as stage 1. Stage 3, we had, of course, again, Larson dominance. So now this is the 3rd stage during the race that Larson has won. We had Seabell cutting his tire, pits with a flat. That was it. 4 out of the top 6 were Hendrick. Larson just completely dominated again. And then Newman.
He was having a good run, too.
He was having a really, really good run, and then cut his tire and hit the wall. Which, arguably, I still think shouldn't have been a caution, because he got right down to pit lane and didn't cause any wrecks or anything. But, I mean, I don't really know what you want to say about that. Right. So that threw a caution when I believe that Larson was going to get overtaken for the end of the stage. And I mean, I'm sure people had different opinions on that. I don't think that should have been thrown, especially because later in the race we had Daniel Suarez with pretty much the same exact issue. And he was on track for longer than Newman before going to pit lane, and yet they didn't throw a caution for that. So
Right.
that was really weird. Then the best part of the race overall, other than Logano and Austin Dillon, was probably when Kyle Busch was fighting for the top 5 spots. Because the whole race, it would have just been Hendrick if it wasn't for Kyle Busch coming in and weaving through all the Hendrick guys. So I think that was pretty fun to watch, just that. But I mean, we didn't get to see any of the backmarker fights or midfield fights, so we didn't really know how all it went.
Oh yeah, that's usual.
Right. And then the only other thing that I really had was Kevin Harvick had a new brace during this race that they were trying out for him, a new harness,
Oh yeah.
and it was causing him some pain, which is, he said he didn't know how much longer he could go on and thought he wasn't going to make it to the end of the race. So,
Aw, poor Kevy Harvey. Poor Kev. I'm just kidding.
yeah. And then Hendrick ended up finishing the race with 4 out of the top 5 cars again.
Yeah, not Larson. Bush. Freaking Kyle Busch ruined the 1, 2, 3, 4 again.
Yep.
So we could have.
He split it.
Yeah, come on, Kyle. But yeah, pretty much. It was a Coke 600 long race.
Right.
Not a lot happened. Not
No.
a lot. Oh, what did you rate this race?
It was a pretty big snooze fest.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it wasn't as bad as, from what I remember. I actually watched a video on it. Truex dominating the 600-mile race at Charlotte in 2016. How many laps did he have? It was like 392. Yeah, something crazy like that. So at least it wasn't as bad as that, especially with Furniture Row. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think this is one of the most boring races this year. So I'm gonna give it like a 55.
That's being generous.
Yeah, I gave it more because they did a lot to bring out Memorial Day and the Memorial Day weekend. So
I give this race 25.
Oh,
I'm
there
kidding.
you go.
I'm kidding. No, it was a very meh race. I think even a little below. I think the racing was just average at best, maybe. But then
it was interesting.
I think the broadcast really brought it down. So I have some things to say about the broadcast. But yeah, I give it a 45. Not a lot of action. I think a little below average if you look at it through the whole, into like through the broadcast and how the racing was. I mean, Charlotte's almost practically ruined with the oval with the PJ1 because these cars don't make enough power, and then they got to use the PJ1, and Boomer Zach will come out and say it's not real racing, but we don't want to hear that. So I think the package does dampen Charlotte, and then the repave doesn't help at all. But a couple people had some good runs. We had Chris Buescher with another top 10. Tyler Reddick, another top 10. That's like his third or fourth one in a row. Suarez and Bubba, both in the top 15. Bubba was like flirting with the top 10 most of the race. Then we had Eric Jones with the top 20. Corey LaJoie with the top 20. And then, SHR, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Gotta love that. It's always, consistent while Kevin Harvick's fighting his life for a top 10.
Right.
Gotta love SHR. But
I mean, he was even having that harness issue, and he was still top 10. So that.
Right. But, the action was at best. It was a Charlotte 600-mile race. It's long. Not a lot of people are going to be paying attention to it. And also, these cars now are essentially, like, indestructible. Where it's not really, invincible. It's, like, not a lot of things go wrong on these anymore. So, this race just really drags out. Because, when we used to, like, 15, 20 years ago, there used to be a lot more engine failures and parts failures. It was really like an endurance race, like, oh, who can make it to the end, stuff like that. But yeah, the Coke 600 was, I think, a little below average. I think that because broadcast was really terrible. I made a couple of points during the race. Stage 1 alone had 5 like full screen commercials, and like for that itself, like, that's insane. Like, I know there's a lot of, NASCAR has a lot of commercials. We gotta get our sponsor money, so we gotta sell that commercials. But then you look at other racing series like the Indy 500, for example. It played no full screen commercials during the race. It only did it when it was under caution, so we weren't missing any action. And then when they went to commercial, they did side by side. So we got to see the racing action still, but we didn't get a full screen commercial while during, the first part of the race. But, the Coke 600, a crown jewel event, one of the biggest races, and we play full screen ads for the first part of, like, the first stage where the most people are watching the race. I know, like, with the TV deals and stuff, we gotta get our money, but I think there's another way we can do that. Like, we could do more side by side, or even show, like, full ads on, like, under caution, or, like, do with the stage breaks, like, when they're just pacing around, they could do, like, cautions during then. But I just think it's too many, like, commercials. But I get it with the TV deals and stuff, they got to get their commercials in. But it just seems a little insane to have that many commercials on the first part of the race when most people are watching. Like, for F1, like, what if after lap 5 they're like, all right, commercial, and then they're like, all right, lap 12, all the pit stops happen, and then Lewis Hamilton, lost a tire. But you guys don't get to see that, but he's in 17th now. Like, they would be, like, pissed off. I know we can't, like, maybe we can't, like, not have commercials unless we get a huge partner like that. Because doesn't F1 have, like, a partner that buys the commercial space or something like that?
Actually, it's all the banners around the tracks that basically, that's their sponsorship for the race. To my knowledge, I don't think there are actually any commercials during an F1 race.
No,
I'm pretty sure it's just, like, all straight. It's just the straight race.
Yeah, it's commercial free.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest. It's really nice to just watch the race, even if it's something boring.
Right. I want to see the racing action. Like, I don't want to see fucking the 15th fucking Domino's pizza ad with Denny Hamlin in his fucking pajamas.
Hey, PJs.
Like, I want to watch Denny Hamlin race. I can watch a Denny Hamlin commercial anytime during the week, not Sunday. I want to see him race. But I know.
I mean, if you're gonna do that, at least give us the Clint Boyer Mobile One commercial back.
Oh, Jesus. With Jeff Gordon talking about 2012 Phoenix for the fucking...
No, the one with Kevin Harvick.
No, I know. Like, but since he's not a racer now, they're gonna put Jeff Gordon in there, and they're gonna talk about 2012 Phoenix for the 500th time. But yeah, I got a couple other gripes with it. I just think there's too many commercials. Like, there's so many streaming service now, like, without ads and stuff like that, or even, like, minute ads. I don't know if we can, like, look into the streaming world at all, but maybe that could be an option. I just think there's too many commercials, like full screen commercials. If they did, like, a side by side, I'd be fine with it. I think, at least we still get to see the race in action. We don't miss if, I don't know, like, Bowman loses a tire, and we'd be like, okay, why is he 35th now? Oh, he blew a tire and also took out Newman. Like, so then we're not come back confused. Oh, thanks for the action. Like, they got to show a replay of the action while the action is happening. And you're like,
right.
Oh, okay, let me do a replay of that. Oh, wait, something else happened. Oh, let me see a replay of that. And then
it just becomes replays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not get like that, but that could happen, per se, you know? But
I mean, you have 2 big-name TV sponsors, which is... I mean, you'd think that'd be something good. I mean, F1 has Sky Sports.
Right.
Which... they're doing a good job with what they're doing. It's just continuous race for the whole 2 hours, 2.5 hours, however long the race may be. So, I mean, I'm not saying completely get rid of them because you have big money sponsors. But, like you said, even a side-by-side would be nice. Or, instead of, let's go to Jeff, Clint, and Mike up in the booth while there's a green flag going around. Like, I don't know. That.
Yeah.
Hey, let's bring up Jay Leno. Oh, okay.
That was insane. Like, let's just have...
It was like, what, a good 10, 15 laps of just Jay Leno?
Yeah, like, during my
man.
freaking the 62nd annual Coca-Cola 600, in the middle of the race, I want to watch a Jay Leno fucking comedy bit with Clint Boyer. Like, that could be a pregame thing, like, you know, getting ready for the race, you know, a little, you know, during the put it out, they're like, oh, look at this little bit with Jay Leno and Clint Boyer cracking jokes.
Hey.
Like, they can have that. They had the freaking rental car thing with Jeff and Clint and stuff like that. They have little gimmicks and stuff. But then I also have some more issues with the broadcast. I have a lot of issues, especially with this race with the broadcast. And then another thing with this is NASCAR, it's kind of, I don't know how to explain this well. Like, when you watch an Indy or an F1, like, kind of race, they take anything serious. Like, you know, if someone, like, you know, loses a tire or has a bad pit stop, like Scott Dixon, I think got stuck on pit road. Yes, I'm recording, Diamond. Sorry about that. But, no, like, when Scott Dixon or someone has a problem on pit road or, like, the car falls off the jack, you know, the Indy guys are like, oh my God, look at what's happening, you know. They're like taking in the moment, like of something big happening. But then, you know, Mike, Clint, and fucking Jeff, the race will go on. Literally, Ross Chastain will blow a motor, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, Ross Chastain blew a motor. Okay, anyways, Kyle Larson is leading by 15.5 seconds. Like, they just moved.
They'd be more happy about the dominance than they would be about somebody just, my race is over.
Like, they just moved on. Like, they barely even mentioned Ross Chastain losing a motor. Like,
right, and we didn't even see Kurt Busch drive the car back into the garage.
Yeah, like, they can't even, like, they just, they're passive. They're like, oh, this happened. And then also the final stage with Joey Logano. Joey Logano's, like, some tire problem. Like, he has a loose wheel. They just gloss over it. Joey Logano on the, like, lead lap fighting for a top 10.
Right.
And he just, he has a loose wheel, and he has to go down pit, and they don't even mention it. Like,
and I didn't figure out about Blaney until I think the radioactive came out.
Yeah, it's just like little things they don't mention. Like, I'm not saying, you know, you gotta scream loudly that there's a water bottle on the track, but I think they should take more events, like, more serious. You know, it kind of seems, you know, they're a little goofy. Like, I know NASCAR is a little goofy than the other racing, like, premier racing series, but they just kind of show, like, the redneck boys. We watched our NASCAR and we beat and bang and we don't care. And, you know, I want to be a little more, I don't know, like, I don't think they're not professional, but like serious in the moment, like when things are happening, like give us viewers like something happen, like I don't know, let's say playoffs for example, like whatever opinion you have on the playoffs, like I don't know, a playoff contender has trouble, put light on that situation, like, oh my God, Brad is gonna lose this many points if he doesn't get out. He's only 2 points ahead of Austin Dillon for the final spot. Like, is he going to get out? Like, make it more intense,
Right.
I think if they're just, like, the broadcast, they'd be like, oh, Brad has a problem. All right, so Chase Elliott it's just like, they just move on so casual. Like, if you're a premier racing series, I want you to be a little more either like professional or like serious. Like this, it just seems too casual sometimes, where it's just like Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon trying to make each other laugh and giggle. Like I'm not saying they got to be super serious all the time and they're like, oh my God, like every moment, but I think there should be some moments that are more serious than others. I'm not saying that I don't like Clint Boyer cracking jokes, or that I want no personality in the booth. And I just think they should take other moments more serious, That's kind of what my problem with the broadcast. It just kind of seems a little casual. Like, I know we got a longer-ish season than most racing series, but we should treat, the race, like every race matters and stuff. Because, it does. If you have a bad race here, maybe later down the line, those 5 points really hurts you for the playoffs. It's just, I think it just should be like a little more maybe serious. Because I was watching the Indy broadcast and they're treating every moment like huge. And then it's like this person, I don't really watch Indy. I watched the Indy 500. That was a really good race.
I would agree.
But I forget who. I'm sorry, I don't know the names of everyone. But this guy crashed into the wall, like a single car wreck into the wall. And, Lee Diffie and Paul Tracy are like, oh my God, that's a huge wreck. And then, like, cut to, like, a Talladega wreck where literally cars are flipping. And then, or even the 2020 Daytona 500 where Mike Joy's just like, Newman flips in the air. Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin to the line.
Yeah.
Newman in a...
They'd be like, oh, cars are wrecking.
Yeah.
Oh, but look at the race to the line. Look. Oh, here's who won.
Yeah, like, you got to let the viewer know, like, these people could die.
Right.
Like, literally last year, Newman, we didn't know what kind of health he was for 2 days. And they're like, oh, Newman's up in the air. He's literally flipping on fire.
They replayed it almost every caution.
Yeah, he's literally on fire, flipping over in the air. Oh, but Blaney and Hamlin to the line. Like, it's just little stuff like that. It's just like, come on, guys. These people got to know, like, you're strapping in a car.
Right.
Going 200 miles an hour. Inches within the next guy, and there's 40 of you on track.
Yep.
And, you also can't see behind you at all, or to the side. You can see out front, and then a third guy from up high is telling you there's a car by you. Like,
yeah, right.
I mean,
like the only ear that you have to, or the only person you have to trust is your spotter. Like,
right, and
you trust them with your life every weekend.
Yeah, and human error. Maybe he makes too late of a call. You move down, boom, car's up in the air. I'm not saying like every wreck you can die, and people's got to know that, but I think it should just be a little more serious. These are, these guys have some huge cojones. Trying to drive these cars at these speeds. inches away from each other. Anything can happen. You know, all this shit that's going on in their heads they gotta think about. Also driving the fucking car. You know, oh wait, also they can't see behind them at all. They got a tiny ass mirror and they can see, you know, the kind of the car behind them. But then they trust this guy almost in a godlike figure up high to tell them when a car is inches away from them. Looking through binoculars. Like,
yeah, right.
It's just a little insane if you take it literally step by step.
And I don't want to keep bringing up F1 into this because, I mean, it is a NASCAR podcast, but, I mean, it's just for like a viewer standpoint. So, you know, you had that Newman crash where he was flipping, his car was on fire, he landed on his hood, and it was just like, there was a moment of silence for probably like right after the race. But then you transition over to F1 with Romain Grosjean, who, I mean, that was like the middle of the race. The dude crashed into a barrier, his car's on fire. Everything stopped. I mean, they red flagged the race, everybody went to pit lane, and it was just, everybody was trying to think, like, okay, well, let's go ahead and, what, is Grosjean okay? Is he going to survive this? Everybody was just, you know, there were people crying. The broadcasters were just, they were like, you never want to see anything like this happen to anybody. And it was, you could feel basically their emotion through their voice. Like, they knew this is real. This is happening.
Right.
And luckily Romain Grosjean is okay. I mean, he's in IndyCar now. I don't think he partook in the Indy 500, but he has raced for them 3 times so far.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you just got to think, what if they didn't have those safety precautions? You know, like, what if the Newman bar wasn't there? What if the halo from Formula One wasn't there? Romain Grosjean would not have had a head. Newman probably would have been crushed. It's just, I mean, they don't say anything. So
I will defend NASCAR on this front. I've been watching NASCAR my entire life.
Right.
When Newman did flip, I immediately just panned over. Like, I'm like, Newman flipped. Finish. You know? We're kind of going back on the Newman wreck. I mean, we're kind of used to, like, cars flipping and shit. Because I was also watching my girlfriend. Like, she doesn't watch at all. She just happened to look, like, on the TV while that was happening. And she was freaking out. Like, she's like, oh my god, is that dude okay? And holy shit. And, you know, going insane. I'm like, he's fine, whatever. But I think as a, you know, maybe as a general audience, you know, NASCAR has the safest cars out there, really. I mean, with the safety and stuff they've done with these cars, they're some of the one of the most safe, like, race cars out there, like more than IndyCar and F1.
Can't argue.
I mean, we haven't had anyone die since Dale Earnhardt 20 years ago. But I think, I don't know, just, you know, someone new might not know, you know. Someone new might be like, oh my god, you know, what's happening? And they're flipping all over. This is crazy,
right.
You know. I mean, I don't think we should take, like, shit for granted. I think maybe we do that sometimes. Like, we're like, oh yeah, you know, we got these fucking essentially bubble wrap cars. You know, they flip up in the air. They flip up over there. No one's gonna get hurt. They're fine. And then, you know, the Newman flip happened, and it shows, like, if you get hit right, you know, something could happen. You know,
right.
We don't know Newman's injuries. I think he said he got bruises and made, like, a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I believe that is. Yeah.
That was it. But luckily, that was it. You know, he could have got, you know, something worse happening. But I just think,
like I said, you can't argue. NASCAR is probably the safest motorsport.
Yeah.
At least right now.
And it's just, you know, it's not, you know, bulletproof.
Right.
Something always could happen. And, you know, I think we should make the broadcast like, anything could happen with these, you know, with these races, and we should like play into that more. But I just think overall the broadcast maybe should be a little more serious. Maybe professional. I'm not saying no personality or whatever, or like every moment's got to be a huge moment. Like Rick Allen's gonna say playoff implications 25 times, but I think maybe we should be a little more professional. I'm not saying Clint Boyer should just be straight, like no jokes whatsoever in my broadcast. I think we should still have fun, of course, in our broadcast, but I think we could like play in a more, we are, the premier stock car league in the entire world. Like we can play in that more.
Right.
But anyways, moving past that whole little spiel I just had a little, issue with the whole broadcast, didn't want to, change anyone's view. I'm changing something over. Just something that irked me, a little bit. I've been a long time NASCAR fan. It seemed like it was a little more serious back in the day when you had Larry Mack and Daryl and Mike up all there. Maybe get some kind of like that. But anyways, we're going to move on to, I think we're going to go over the playoff seeding right now. So I pulled up the points right now. So Michael McDowell, last one in at 16th. He does have a win. So you got to go to the first one up, which would be Chris Buescher. He is in 14th. He's at 370 points. So right now he's technically the last one in because Bell and McDowell both have race wins. So DiBenedetto is 55 points out. And then Ricky Stenhouse is about 62 points out. So those are like the closest to pointing their way in. Like Kurt Busch is almost 100 points out. Same with Newman and Chastain. So they're far out. They need essentially a win to get into the playoffs. But most of these guys are locked in and stuff already. But
at this point, it seems like for the playoffs, it kind of seems like you either win or you don't. At this point, you might as well just...
Yeah, if you're on
I'm afraid for Denny and Kevin, because if they don't get a win, there's a chance that they won't make it. I mean, obviously, you have Denny, 633 points. The most points out of any driver.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still that possibility if, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, Matt DiBenedetto, and Ricky Stenhouse get up there. Well, they're booted.
Let me stop you first. Denny whoever wins the regular season championship is automatically in, even if he doesn't have a win. So Denny right now, since he's leading, and if he wins the regular season championship but doesn't have a win, and there's more than 16 winners, Denny Hamlin's in. So
but how would that work if he was in second? Like, let's say Larson ended up beating him out.
Then if there's more than 16 winners, then he would be out.
Oof. See, that's tough.
Yeah.
That makes you just want to get a win at that point.
Right. And I'm law of averages. I think he will get a win.
Yeah.
So. And then
I'm out Denny.
we're gonna answer some questions. First question we have is: do we need to have a 600-mile race on the schedule? I'll go first. Let you rack your brain a little bit. I think we can have one. I think one is fine. It's kind of a unique race. I think there's some different things we could do with the Coke 600. Maybe we can have if we're gonna do the 4 stages, because NASCAR needs their time. Maybe we could do 50 lap stages, and then the last stage 200 or 250 straight laps. So that could bring some strategy, some fuel, some some fuel concerns and stuff like that. So maybe it can bring some more strategy in. I think they could do something because, if we say, well, get rid of the stages, well, they're not going to do that, okay? No matter how hard we want it, they're not going to get rid of it. So if we play into that, maybe we can have like different stage lengths, like, one's 45 laps, this one's 60, 70, or something, crazy, or we could just do 50, 50, 50, and then have a 350 mile or 350 lap, final stage. Bring some strategy in, get your early commercial breaks, something like that. So I think we could have a 600-mile race on the schedule. I wouldn't put more than one. I think the Coke 600 is fine. It's prestigious. It's a crown jewel. I think the Coke 600 could stay. Maybe we could do something different with the stages. Maybe the new car could bring us some new, different racing there. So we'll see. I think the Coke 600 could stay for now.
I like the idea that you had, especially with making the first couple of stages shorter stints. I think if you do anything, it would be kind of cool to have like 50, 50, 100, 200.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it's the same thing kind of. You have the green flag stops regardless. It kind of adds the strategy like you were saying. I don't know if they would do a 50, 50, 50, 250 because,
right.
I don't know NASCAR. I don't know if they would do something like that. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think that they would be like, oh yeah, that's great. Let's do that. I think they would try and break it up evenly, just
right,
so it doesn't rock people's brains.
Yeah, dude, we don't know what they're gonna do day and night.
Right, that's very true.
I also am not an engineer or anywhere close to the top of NASCAR either. So what am I talking about? I don't know, but
no, I agree with you. I think that there could at least be one on the schedule. I think one is good enough. It's obviously going to be the longest race of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to continuously be, unless we can find something out. Not we. Sorry. Unless NASCAR can find something out, it might end up still being the most boring race on the schedule, other than a handful. But I'm
Texas.
sure. Yeah, right, Texas. I'm sure with this new gen car, I think there's going to be more racing involved. I just can't wait to see what comes out with this car.
Right.
So you never know. Maybe we couldn't withstand the 50, 50, 50, 250, or the 50, 50, 100, 200. We'll end up seeing that.
Should be able to now.
Yeah, it should be able to. They are very smart people, so
right. And question 2. Kyle Larson peaking too early for the playoffs. So, I think Clint Boyer brought this up. I would rather be peaking than peaking at all. Like, not peaking at all. I don't think he's generally, peaking. Maybe he won't run as, dominant as he's been running the last, couple weeks and stuff during the playoffs. But I still think he's going to have a great season and, his Final Four favorite right now. Peaking too early, I guess we'll see. But I think, Larson can have the talent, and now HMS looks like they got their shit turned around and one of the best team in the garage right now. The team to beat. So I think, Kyle Larson, could easily still dominate this entire season going to the Final Four. But yeah, he could be peaking a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how the summer months go for Larson and HMS.
Yep, I agree. I think I watched Larry Mack talk about this the other day.
Larry McReynolds?
Yeah, he was talking about Larson, and he even said it in quotations, peaking too early. And he said, I don't think it's peaking. I think it's more Hendrick found something that works, and they're going to try to continue doing it until it doesn't work anymore.
Them cheating Chevys.
Them cheating shit. No, but I mean, you have arguably one of the fastest drivers out on the grid right now,
Hmm.
with arguably one of the best cars out on the grid right now. I mean, you have all four drivers with a win. You have Larson with two. You have Bowman with two. It, I don't think it's peaking. I just think it's them finding something out that hopefully will give them an early advantage and will help them throughout the playoffs.
Yeah,
So
that alliance with Spire is paying, big dividends right now.
yeah,
And
right.
HMS is looking at what Spire is doing and, taking notes on what they're doing, applying it to their race cars. Just kidding. But, so, this episode is going to be named 269. So, we know Hendrick got their leading, 269th race victory as a company. They're the winningest organization in NASCAR history. They passed Petty Enterprises on Sunday night. So this is a little general question. What is our favorite win of HMS? And also, what do you think was the biggest win for HMS, the company? My favorite win of HMS is history. I was, a huge Dale Jr. fan. So I think the favorite win I have of HMS is 2014 Daytona 500. And Junior won the 500 again. I did like when he broke his winless streak in Michigan, but probably my favorite overall was Junior winning the 500 10 years later. I thought that was awesome. With that big ass piece of tape on his grill, I thought we were so F that race. I'm like, oh no. But he had the dominant car that day, so that was probably my favorite win. And then I think the biggest overall for the company was probably the 2016 Homestead race, where Jimmy won his league tying 7th championship. I think that was the biggest win overall for HMS. There's some others that I could have put, maybe the first Brickyard, or when they won at Atlanta in 2004 after, Rick's son died and all those HMS employees died, or the 200th win, or, there's a number of ones we could talk about, but I think the biggest for the company was when Jimmy won his 7th championship in 2016 at Homestead.
Not bad. I haven't been watching NASCAR for nearly as long as you, and you know that. Obviously, you know that. So, I mean, I would agree with you that, the biggest win was, I mean, Jimmy's 7th. You could also argue Jeff Gordon winning. You could also, I mean, you could argue a lot. My favorite win, since I haven't been a fan of NASCAR for as long as I wish I was at this point, I gotta say my favorite win has to be Dover with the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Favorite, yeah, that could be also a biggest win because
it could be. I mean, you can also say that Larson helping HMS break the record from Petty's wins.
Yeah,
you could argue that.
There's so many big wins, like I can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I definitely enjoyed watching the 48 back on victory lane. And then you had the 1, 2, 3, 4 from Hendrick. And I believe, didn't they already have the 48 up in the monster's hand before the race?
Yeah, they did.
So it was just like foreshadowing what was going to happen. Hey, conspiracy!
48 runs well at Dover.
Yeah, it does.
But, yeah, just, if you guys want us to, let us know what's your favorite win of HMS. Let us know at our Twitter handle, Racing Bros Pod C1. Yep. Racing Bros Pod C1. We also have our personal Twitters there. You can let us know. Or on Instagram, Racing Bros Podcast. You can hit us there on Instagram or Twitter if you want to, leave us some messages and stuff. But anyways, we're going to go over the news now. So, making their debut at Sonoma. Ben Rhodes, he drives for a Toyota team, but he's going to drive the 77 Spire car at Sonoma. Usually Justin Haley runs it, but Justin Haley is going to be running in mid-Ohio, so, don't want to do all that travel and stuff like that. So Ben Rhodes, off week for the trucks. He's going to be making his Cup debut at Sonoma. Chase Elliott is going to drive the GMS 24 at Texas. And then we had a huge rumor that happened over the weekend. So 2311 we know is looking to expand. They built their building on expanding to 4 cars one day. Well, they're already looking at 2 as early as next year, chartered or non-chartered. Denny Hamlin wants to have a second car. And the top candidate right now for that said car is Kurt Busch. So Kurt Busch to 2311. I think there's some pros and cons to this move. I think, can you say 2311 has a bigger potential than Chip Ganassi? You can say that. I think they're about on par with performance. I would think they're about same, but I think 2311 has bigger room to grow and have more potential. Also, 2311's working with JGR, so he's going to be in all the team meetings with his brother Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Truex, and then those are, I think, better teammates to lean on than Ross Chastain. Not that Ross Chastain is a bad driver or anything, but those are 3 Hall of Fame drivers right there that you can lean on. And then the big bad Toyota. Toyota's fast. You have all those resources and stuff. He can also bring sponsorship. So he could bring Monster Energy to 2311. I thought they didn't have even enough races to sell their sponsorship. For one car, they would need 2 cars. So maybe, he can still bring Monster Energy with him. So I think there's a lot of pros to this. And then, maybe some cons. Kurt Busch is older. He is mid-40s. And then this year it hasn't gone the best, but it's been a lot of bad luck. Maybe, he still has it behind the wheel. But you don't know. How these drivers get up in their 40s. So, how many years does Kurt Busch have of elite driving talent? Who knows? Really, it's a question. Does he have another year left in the tank? Is this all he got? Has he got 2 or 3? I think he has at least 2. 2 more years of top driving talent. But who knows? But then, also a con is for Chip Ganassi. What are they going to do with the 1 car? Do they get a younger driver? If you bring in a veteran for a year, how are they going to get their sponsorship? You bring in a Newman or someone like that. He's, I would say, a less driver than Kurt Busch. And then, do you bring a younger guy? Does the 1 car close up and they only go to the 42, and then they sell a charter? What happens to the 1 car? They lose all that sponsorship. They got to have someone they can bring sponsorship. De Benedetto's up in the air. They don't know with the Penske stuff. Bowman is looking pretty much to sign with the HMS. Who do they go after? Do you go in Xfinity? Do you get a Gregson who does bring that sponsorship? But, is really, really raw as a talent. So, it's just a lot of pros and cons and a lot of movement with these kinds of rumors,
I think, there's probably going to be a couple switches. That it happens. Happens in actual sports, happens in motorsports. As to who's going to get the 1, that's beyond me. It could be anybody.
I think
They could literally go to Xfinity and be like, "Hey, Austin Cindric, you want to run full time instead of part time?"
Well, Austin Cindric's running full time next year already.
Ooh.
He's signed with the 21, so that's why I said De
Okay.
Benedetto, because De Benedetto is out of a ride no matter what, because Cedric's taking that 21. But now
So is he rumored to take over the 2 car?
now it's looking like yes,
Okay.
because with the Brad news that it's basically a done deal that he's going to Roush, the 2
Right.
is open. So I don't know if Roger would just move Cindric to the 2 and then just keep De Benedetto in the 21, or how would he do that? Or I don't think they would close down the 2, but you never know.
I'm sure. I mean, it's happened before.
Right. But I think if Kurt Busch goes to 2311, I think the person who gets the 1 is either Gregson or they sell their charter, because Gregson does bring in its own sponsorship. I mean, I don't think I would pick him, but as a NASCAR team owner, I need sponsorship, and if I lose Monster Energy, who will probably follow Kurt Busch,
Right.
who are you gonna get? I mean, Newman doesn't bring outside sponsorship. Like mostly the Roush 6 is like Roush sponsors. So like, what funding is Newman really bringing? And then
I think his only personal sponsor is Progressive, is it not?
Are they even on the car this year?
Oh, that's actually a good question. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, like
I thought they had a 2-year deal
I don't even
for
know.
last year and this year, but I don't think they did. It might have just been a 1-car, one-off scheme.
I am not sure if there are even. They might have been on. I don't think they're on the car this year. So I mean, really, like, what sponsorship is Newman bringing? If they brought in a Newman, and Newman, I think we could say, like, we like Newman, but he is a less driver than Kurt Busch.
Petition to make Ryan Blaney drive the 2-car. Have Ryan Newman go back to the 12-car and have Sony back.
Oh my God, that would be a throwback. But
I have those cars hanging up on my wall.
But yeah,
Uh,
like, I don't know. It's a giant question mark right now. So I guess we'll see how the silly season plays out.
Right.
But now on to Sonoma. So what is this? Our third road course? Third?
Yep.
Because we had Daytona Road Course and Coda. Sonoma. We haven't been back since 2019. So we took a year off because of COVID. But now that we beat COVID, we can go there now. So this is going to be the first Sonoma race with the 750 horsepower package and the low downforce. So we're going to have the tiny spoilers and a big motor. So that equals fun. Then we're going to have the road course. Truex is usually pretty good here. But I'm going to take a dark horse. No, I'm kidding. My pick for this weekend, he usually runs strong here. I'm taking KFB, Kyle fucking Busch, for my pick. He's won here before. He usually runs strong. Last time they were here, he ran second. So hopefully he can, change that 2 to a 1 and beat all the Hendrick boys. And Truex to get that dub. And then for a dark horse, I'm actually going to pick Cody Ware. I know that you're probably like, that's a meme. It's actually not. He does run pretty decent at road courses. I think he can, be on the outskirts of a top 20, even in Rick Ware racing. A little bit of a different dark horse than the usual. Like, I could have picked Suarez and, been boring. But, maybe something a little different. Took Cody Ware. But, yeah, I think Kyle Busch should be up there. Truex probably be up there. Chase Elliott, this is typically not one of his best road courses. I'd say it's probably his weakest road course that he's at. He's also still very good here. Kevin Harvick's surprisingly pretty good here. Kurt Busch is pretty solid. Alex Bowman's a nice little road racer. William Byron has won a stage here in 2019. So, you got some pretty good options. It's going to be nice, traditional road course that we've been going to for years. Sonoma, we have the carousel layout that they did in 2019. So, should be a good race. Some, less passing opportunities than Coda, but it should still be fun.
I had probably less of a fun time figuring out who to pick for Sonoma than you did.
I just gave you like 15 people.
No, I know. I already have my driver though. So I was thinking, oh, should I just go with Truex, get my third out of the way? No, I have ideas for maybe where I want to put him later in the season. I was thinking Denny because Denny's okay at road courses. It'd just be enough for points at that point. But I ended up going with Ryan Blaney.
The Blainster
Already has one win on the year, so I'm sure he's not. I mean, I'm sure he's pushing for another, but he's kind of in a comfortable spot as it sits right now as to playoffs. So I'm sure he's not like, oh, my life's on the line. I either get another win or I'm out of my seat. So
probably should, because Ryan Newman's coming for that ass, boy.
The Sony car, come back. No. And actually, as we're talking about that, my dark horse is Ryan Newman.
The Newster!
He's run decent at Sonoma in the past from what I've seen. Not, like, incredible. I think he's had a couple top 10s, and that's mainly about it. But, yeah, Blaney's had a few top 10s, I believe 2 top 5s. And I don't think he's ever won, but I know he got second place behind Truex during the last one. So,
okay, racing ref.
It actually wasn't racing ref. I watched that last race back. So.
Oh wow, you do notes? You cheating? You cheating? But. Yep.
I mean, it's a road course. It's anybody's game. So.
That's very true. It's gonna be old Austin Dillon. I'm kidding. That would be insane.
It could be, though.
Hey,
it really could be.
It could be a little Ross Chastain, a little flavor in there.
Oh, yeah. That's true. That would have been a good dark horse. Chastain.
I picked him last week and he blew an engine, so.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that does it for this episode of Racing Bros NASCAR Podcast. Number 17, talking all things Coke 600 and previewing Sonoma and, other things sprinkled in between. So, thank you all for watching. Remember to follow us on our social handles. Instagram, Racing Bros Podcast, where amateur Zach just Googles photos of the race and puts it on. So, if you want to see that exciting action, make sure to follow us. We also do have a Twitter account. Barely even use it, to be honest, because I'm terrible at social media. So if you want to follow us there, follow us at Racing Bros Pod C1. I know it's a little confusing name, but Racing Bros Pod C1. And then we have our own personals that you can go on and chat and be like, you guys suck, and then we'd be like, okay. But and we also a special shout out to all the new listeners, because last month was our most downloaded month with One Last Podcast. So we thank y'all for coming along this journey, and all the dedicated viewers that have watched throughout the time we've been doing this. I want to shout out our buddy Rebel. He goes by Robert, I'm pretty sure. I hope. Please be Robert. He's our super fan. So thank you, Robert, and everyone for listening along. So we just want to do a little special shout out to you guys. We bring you this every week. We might get some things wrong, and might stumble across our words, but hey, man, we try to give you some clear news and what we thought of the race. So try that every week for y'all, and we appreciate you guys coming along. So other than that, we're gonna sign off. So thank y'all for watching. Thanks, Brian, for joining me for another one of these. Number 17. Wow.
17.
We've been doing this for 4 months now.
Oh, jeez.
We're getting old. But
it's been a joy as always.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun. So thank you guys for all listening and watching on YouTube and doing all that. So hopefully you can keep on listening to us, and hopefully we can provide you with some good content. I'm going to try to get better at the social media stuff. Just, send me a message. Be like, Zach, you suck at social media. Get better. Scrum. But, all right, we're signing off now. So we'll see you guys next week. Good luck
Take care.
Good luck to old Kyle fucking Busch at Sonoma. And boo Ryan Blaney. So, signing off. See ya.